it is interesting when you look at referencing and because what I've been doing over the last few days is just going back in time and looking at old images, biblical images, even before, some of the religions were created, some of the artwork and tapestries, all sorts of things representing what can only be decided to be as the phenomena, a representation of phenomena in them days, which is interesting. And referencing to the
Mhm.
jinn being created of smokeless fire. Now, if you were to imagine fire, which was smokeless, it's a bit like a plasma, really, isn't it? If you think about it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if we're sort of when they were referencing gin as smokeless fire, that they just didn't have a word for plasma. Do you know what I mean? Because really, I mean, I know you sent an image over of some of the plasma that was photographed during a Jackie Hernandez case, I think it was, where it was illuminated on
Yeah,
the floor. So
absolutely.
yeah, there's a few of those photos, and there was actually a couple taken through on the Bithell case, weren't they, regarding the Entity film, what they
Mhm.
made about it. I know there was a couple of photographs of that as well. And I have discussed quite in great length about if this is the predecessor to manifestation, which kind of goes perfectly, not
Mhm.
just in regarding people's homes and the manifestation of whatever, an apparition or something, but also the manifestation of structured craft and strange things in the sky, which are often seen initiated through balls of light, balls of
Mhm.
light all over the place. And people are filming. It's interesting because over the last sort of maybe 5, 6 years, there's been an increase in the recording and sighting of balls of light, plasma type thing, acting intelligently, that is, because they do interact with
Mhm.
individuals. There was a very well-known part of which was linked into Project Doorway, where Barry took a photograph in Arizona desert of three. He calls them amber gamblers because of the color, because they are amber. These. So
Mhm.
when you get the amber ones, we just need them amber gamblers. But there were
Mhm.
three. In the distance, you can see some city lights in the far distance on the photograph, but there were three of them, and they manifested, and he saw these and he seemingly reacted intelligently to his thoughts. In other words, he was thinking, kind of come forward a bit more,
Mhm.
and what he was thinking, they were doing. So we can certainly obtain the fact that there was a conscious connection made at the time with him for that. But again, a lot of these things that are happening are seemingly the predecessor. Now, I mentioned this to researcher and author Anthony Peake last night,
Mhm.
and I said, what do you think about the light phenomena being a predecessor to manifestation? And like he does, he thinks, and he goes,
Mhm.
absolutely, yeah. So even his research points that sort of direction. Same for in the Vatican archives. You've got
Mhm.
these balls of light that are entering into nunneries,
Mhm.
and where priests are sleeping and interacting with them at night. And then later on, you end up with this manifestation or some paralysis taking place during one night and a terrible experience. But the whole thing was indicative of the start of phenomena with light phenomena,
Mhm.
balls of light. And of course, though, when what they were doing, when they were thinking the balls of light must be spirits of people which are in purgatory and we need to pray for them, you see. So
Mhm.
they went to do more prayer. So again, when it's interesting because people, like we mentioned in one of the last videos, that does prayer, have some type of indifference to the phenomena? Well, not in most circumstances, no. I mean, flipping out, you can't go wrong, really, when you've got like 20, 30 priests all praying at the same time, and the phenomena goes, yeah, I don't care. So,
Mhm.
so really, it starts getting very interesting when you start thinking about, yeah, well, it's not all as simple as, yes, saying a prayer will get rid of these things.
Right. And people get angry because they want us to commit to absolutes.
Yeah,
right? Where this absolutely will stop, or they will
you can't.
absolutely not, and we can't do that. And it's frustrating because people see that, and because we're not using that language, they
Yeah.
try to formulate a position for us to have on that part of the
Oh, yeah.
phenomenon. It's like, no, we're just looking at the data. But you're exactly right. And
It's good or
I'm glad you
bad.
brought that out.
Yeah, it's not that simple because there is a massive grey area in between where it's both and all. And people, I
Mhm.
had a message last night and said, "Well, come on, Steve, tell us then. Is it are the angels or are the demons? And you know, aliens, demons, angels?" And I just
Right.
said all the above
Yeah,
because
you're
that's all I
you're right.
can do is say that.
Well, even in biblical antiquity, the way they determine whether or not the messenger, again, angel, was a fallen angel or an angel was based upon the message they received. If they didn't like it,
Yeah,
you're a daemon or you're a demon. If they did like it, well, you
yeah,
must have some wings behind you. And so that was really how they thought. And again, when people try to pigeonhole us, force us into regurgitating dogmatism, we're looking at the data and saying, look, I don't care about the form. We're beyond that,
yeah,
beyond all the forms now.
yeah.
Right. And again, I mean, and that's also biblical, by the way. They said the devil will manifest as an angel of light. So there is something there. But at the same time, yeah, I don't like to be forced
No.
to take a position when I'm just here, like you said, professional or personal opinion. I'm here just looking
Well,
at the data.
like I've said, I have a personal opinion and a professional opinion, and there are two sometimes completely
Mhm.
different things, because we all have belief, we all have some form of social conditioning that we've grown up through the world, and even religion in some cases. So it's, bound to have some type of belief system. However, there is no belief system in evidential data in the data sets. It simply is.
Mhm.
There's the data. There's no belief involved in that. It
Right.
rather is this or it is that. So we end up with two, in a sense of speaking,
Yeah.
But people often ask me, and I say, well, you know what, there is a big grey area in between. If you talk about angelic beings, go to Ezekiel, a wheel in a wheel descended from the sky, this type of strange interaction with this craft. These
Right.
beings appeared, which are referred to as angelic or angels. But that's at a time when the breeding of the angel was
Mhm.
in development, from Ezekiel days. Just as if you can go through phases in demonic visual representations in old drawings in biblical antiquity, because you've got this era of the horns for
Mhm.
the demon, which really kind of is a cast off from the horns of the work of light, the work of
Mhm.
God. These light horn lights, light horns, like Moses had and Alexander the Great and many others, which particularly worked for God in a sense, or was doing something that was appease the deities, should we say.
Mhm.
And sometimes they got a bit of a lending hand. Oh, don't worry, we'll help you bring down those walls, Alexander. Don't worry, we'll blast them, you know,
Mhm.
um, for you to be able to besiege the city. So there is seemingly things which take place through biblical antiquity, which is steered historical output. In other
Right.
words, it's steered history in some way. So it's not just a matter of monitoring us, it's a matter of monitoring the progress of mankind in history and steering in its own path.
Go this way, then not that way. If you go this way, we're not going to
Yeah,
work with you. If you go this right, you're correct.
I mean, there's a very good painting out there, which, and I can't remember if it's not the Annunciation, it's another one, I think it is, but it's where Mary is inside a building and she's in prayer. And there's a beam of light coming down from the sky. Within the beam of light, funny enough, if you had to get a microscope and look at the damn thing, because the painting's pretty big, but when you see the images on screen, but if you look, it's actually a partridge or a dove in the middle of this object. And there's firing a pencil beam light down, which penetrates walls, interestingly, because we've had light beams penetrate walls from craft in the
Mhm.
Calaris UFO incident and many others. Penetrate right through the wall and hits her on the forehead, interestingly enough, representative of the dove or the partridge. Now, is this so-called the Holy Spirit supposed to be entering into her from some type of light phenomenon in the sky, casting a beam of light down at her? Well, very questionable. And it's the same basic imagery that we see in the baptism of Christ in the painting, with
Mhm.
an object in the sky that looks like a disc. In the middle of the disc is the so-called Holy Spirit, the
Mhm.
partridge or the dove, and these not one but four beams of light coming down and illuminating the John the Baptist baptizing Christ. But within that image of Mary, people tend to focus the thing on the sky and Mary and this beam of light. But if you look in the street, you have the
Mhm.
Pope. The Pope is in the street, and next to the Pope is an angel who's whispering into the Pope's ear. There are many, many paintings, biblical paintings, old paintings, and tapestries even, where you've got various entities, not just an angel whispering into the
Mhm.
Pope's ear, demonic creatures, strange looking things, all sorts of different things, but whispering in the Pope's ear. Now, when you start looking into that, there's this angels whispering into the Pope. Now, the story is, though, connected with that, when you start to do the research, is that the Pope, this is why this image is, this is angel or whatever this being is, this winged being whispering into the Pope's ear is in the painting, because it's very important. Because the story is that the Pope received a message. Now, what is that? Is that a download experience? Is it a whisper in the ear?
Right.
Some strange force, the influence? But it was that whisper that caused him to invade Constantinople, and 380,000 people were put to death.
Mhm.
380,000 people were put to death on the backbone of a whisper. That is influence.
Oh God, Steve, you're taking us down an interesting rabbit hole as always. Did you
Always.
know that when Hitler was in prison, he was visited by I think it was two or three different men. They were,
I heard something, but I'm not too sure about the story. Yeah, go on.
oh, it's fascinating.
Hmm.
His cellmate testified that he would wake up in the middle of the night and he would be seeing these entities. Nobody else could see them but him. And then he would say they are weird and they are intrepid. Those words. I've
Intre-
never heard the word intrepid employed in my life. Have you, Steve?
Interesting. Interesting choice of
They're,
word. Yeah.
they're weird, they're intrepid, and they're the new human race.
So are these Aryan? I mean, the Aryan breed, the Aryan people
Right.
that he wanted to create was supposed to be based upon some type of interstellar being, wasn't it?
It would
Apparently.
make sense, would make sense. But this gets us back into this idea of not extraterrestrial visitation, but ultra terrestrial
Yes.
presence, like it's here.
Mm.
And, it's like Professor Renee Hardy's funeral, where these men just show up out of nowhere.
Yes.
And they were never caught on film, they were never recorded, but people remember talking to them. And what is
Yep.
that?
Well, I can tell you
That,
what that might be, actually. It's funny that you
yeah.
bring that up because
Mhm.
when you do the research into the waveform collapse, okay,
Mhm.
people are going out and trying to take photographs and videos of things of what they see, but
Mhm.
likelihood is that what we are seeing, this is where the problem lies. You see something strange in the sky, or you see something strange in an old house. Doesn't really matter. You see it. You take the phone out, your cell phone, or your video camera, or a camera. Doesn't matter. And you take a
Mhm.
photo or a video of it. And if you're lucky enough, sometimes you don't get it, but if you're lucky enough, I'll tell you why in a minute, because that's the mechanism breaking down. When you see something and you're recording something different, the mechanism's gone a little bit haywire.
Mhm.
Because when you see something in the sky or in a strange, in an old house or something, and you're taking a photograph and it's comparable to what you're seeing, in other words, oh, I've actually caught it on film, or there's the photograph
Mhm.
of what I've seen. People think that confirms what they've seen as authentic. However,
Uh-oh.
what we're realizing now is what you are seeing and what you are filming are both fake. And the reason being is because
Mhm.
instruments do not cause the collapse of the waveform. I mean, the double slit
Yeah.
experiment, here's the big thing. Here's the craziest thing. The double slit experiment or dual slit experiment, when we're watching something, it changes, it alters. The electrons change, the
Hmm.
waveform collapses. We know that. It's crazy, and we don't know how, but it does. And that's what reality does. It's us, it's something, whatever it might just be this, it might just be a remote control on the time. It doesn't matter. As soon as I'm looking at it's acting differently when I'm looking at it.
Hmm.
As soon as I don't look at it, it changes its state again. It's not a living organism, but it's part
Hmm.
of the reality and part of the matrix we live in. This is just as everything else is. So when
Hmm.
we observe it, we cause it to change. Now, what they did was they set up cameras to film the
Hmm.
collapse. The problem is, it happens the same thing as watching it. If you're watching it with your human eyes, you're
Hmm.
affecting it. When you set up a camera and you're not there to watch it, but you're going to watch the camera film, it still affects it. The intent is there because it's quantum. It's quantum. So even if you're not there and you're filming it, so people capturing things on CCTV cameras, trail cameras, and all that stuff can be
Hmm.
completely manipulated because the camera is acting just as our eyes are. It doesn't matter if you're there or not. The same result will happen. And they even went one further and thought, well, I tell you what happens if we can get an animal to watch it? They tried they tried it across numerous different animals, and you know what? It didn't collapse. We are unique. It does not collapse for animals. And why? Why does it not collapse for an animal watching it? If you stick a monkey down, let it watch it. Why does it not collapse when it's watching it? Why does it only collapse when we're watching it? What the hell is
Right.
going on here about singularity in humanity? And also, we can't even get away from the mechanism by saying, don't worry, we'll set up a video camera and we'll capture it that way then. No,
It
you
knows.
won't. It can be manipulated just as our eyesight can be manipulated. So the phenomenon's got governance over us and our equipment to even record it. So give it up, guys out there. I mean, I'm sorry, but you go and do the research, you'll find it
Oh,
doesn't matter.
Steve, this reminds me, each and every time we talk about this particular nuance of the phenomenon, it always reminds me of the UFO documentary, I Know What I Saw.
Oh, yes.
No, sir, you don't. That's
No.
the problem. We as
Yeah.
a species are being blinded by our own vision.
Yeah.
And yet people are, well, seeing is believing. No, there's something deeper at work here. And, were we designed to be blind to this? I don't know
No.
nobody wants to talk about that,
Well, we
but
are designed.
that's a possibility.
You're absolutely right. It seems like humanity's fashioned and limited to be designed for the
Mhm.
phenomena to manipulate and be around us, to deceive us. It's like it's the phenomena's like a glove. It's fashioned to the shape of the hand, and this is what the
Yes.
situation is. And we think, okay, well, we'll go one further. We've got technology now. We don't need to go by what we see. We can record it. No, you're not, because even if you record it, it's
Mhm.
not collapsing. It's gonna collapse the waveform, even if you're not watching it, even if it's just equipment. How does it do it? It's just a piece of equipment recording it, and yet it collapses. But an animal, you stick a living organism, a monkey in there, you're thinking, oh well, if it collapses on my phone and collapses on a video camera when nobody's around and collapses when I see it, I'll stick a monkey in there. Surely it's got to. No, it doesn't. What
Mhm.
is the difference between humans and animals' perception of the double slit experiment? It's crazy. Doesn't make any sense.
It's yeah, it's almost like a method of deception. But when we're dealing with this aspect, it's almost like we become co-creators of these experiences, or at least the masks they wear. And I need to draw a line in the sand for those who are going to be watching this, because what I'm not implying is that when bad things happen to good experiencers, that they themselves are at fault, right? Because we've had that conversation with other people. Well, yeah, well, if something bad happened to you, you deserved it.
Yeah.
It was your perspective.
Yeah.
No, the mask they wore, I helped co-create. I helped co-create the archetype. What we're realizing though in the field is, yeah, that archetype only exists until the phenomenon doesn't want it to, and the mask comes off, and you start to realize, oh my God, that was never what I thought it was.
No.
I mean, but how deep does this go? Because in hauntology, we started to believe in the afterlife merely because we saw ghosts. But if those weren't even ghosts, they're physiological constructs on the part of the proto-intelligence, then does that field, forget about the apparition,
Yeah.
if that doesn't exist,
Yeah.
then the entire field
Yeah.
of apparitional theory
Mm.
has been propped up by an intelligence just to, go do this and don't do this.
It's really
That's not
problematic.
good.
No, it's not, and it's really problematic when it comes to trying to investigate the phenomenon in a visual sense, because people might say, well, you know what, I want to film this location in the sky. There's a lot of strange going things going on there, but I can't be there all the time, so I'll set up equipment. But the problem is
Mhm.
that when we're observing phenomena with our eyes, immediately as soon as we lock onto a UFO in the sky and we can see this thing, that
Mhm.
UFO is acting differently because it's double slit. It proves that anything that we are looking at, waveform collapse, it changes. Now, what if the phenomena recognizes that change and goes, oh, hang on, I'm being watched?
Absolutely.
You
Configure
know,
itself.
configure itself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, people setting up equipment, it's no different. I keep setting all this equipment, but I don't really get much on this, that, and the other. Why? Because the equipment is exactly the same. The phenomenon goes, oh, I'm being filmed.
Yes,
Because
yes,
it
yes.
recognizes that the same form collapse, it's the same wave collapse if you're recording it or you're there to see it. So it's going to know. If it's intelligent, it's going to know I'm being filmed, I'm being watched. And isn't that so often that we have on occasion, put your cameras away, put them
Mhm.
away, and then I will present myself. Because
That's
there's been
fascinating. Yeah.
many occasions when people have had to put their cameras away, and even instructed through experiments, turn off your camera. We've had that. Turn off. You're not allowed to film. It will only manifest in the dark in a black room. Absolute crap. Sorry, but the Livermore Laboratories, lots of Livermore
Yeah.
Laboratories doing it during the daylight. With the lights on. So there is no sort of rule book to say it's got to only happen in the dark. It's got to be in a dark room. We can only manifest in the dark. Rubbish. Absolute
It
rubbish.
it is rubbish, and it makes me wonder if that isn't another way to propagandize the field, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah.
give us rules we think they follow,
Mm,
and they don't. They don't really care about that. It's just to obfuscate the truth and to muddy the waters. And that's why I'm thinking again that this kind of research is going to be at the forefront, not because we're gods or anything, but we got tired of the narratives. We
well,
got
yeah,
tired of just
they're
the
old.
junk
Yeah.
and just said, okay, like what are we observing? Are we being observed? At the same time, are we experiencing the phenomenon and being experienced by it? And in that exchange of information, the phenomenon constructs an archetype. And then we're saying, okay, well, that does exist. It's like, no. And if that doesn't exist, we have to start from square one
Mm,
and say, okay, what do we truly know about the phenomenon?
yes.
And that gets back to the pre-archetype. I mean, they're everywhere. They're
Well,
everywhere.
yeah, they really are. The light phenomena and the UFOs are always seen as a predecessor before the little
Yes.
guys turn up. So it's like, oh, you're watching me. Oh, you film me. Hang on a second. Here's some guys. Do you know what I
Yep,
mean? And
absolutely.
then we've got the interaction sort of thing taking place. So it's like, yeah, because you look at all the alien abduction cases, you talk about, oh, right, well, I woke up, there was these strange lights. I woke up and I saw a craft. I was outside and I saw a craft and then bing, here comes the guys, do you know? So it's like, archetype, let's create it now because we now you're watching us because we're watching you.
Right.
We know we're observing you. There's a conscious connection pair. That pair takes place and then it's deliverance of archetype. Now the thing is that's not just in the UFO phenomena; it's in the paranormal, cryptid
It's
phenomena as well.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. But when I was going through this biblical antiquities paintings and drawings and stuff, there was an era. The horns, the wings representing
Mhm.
demons, of course. The wings came from obviously the angelic side, because initially they were wings of an angel as in
Mhm.
fallen angels, and then he thought, oh no, we got to change them. They look too much like angels. Let's give them bat type wings, and
Yeah.
horns. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they were all sort of angels, so let's give them horns, but they can't represent horns of light because they don't work for God anymore. Let's give them horns, you know.
Yeah.
So there was an era for that, just as the angelic era came, such as, oh yes, this is what angels look like with a halo and the dove wings on the backs and stuff. However, prior to that, the demonic referencing visually was chimera. Was all these strange animals rolled into sometimes
Hmm.
one. I'm thinking to myself, what were they trying to tell us? You've got one animal, or seemingly the bottom part is one animal. The top part could be half a lion, half monkey, half
Right.
this, half horse, whatever. Are they trying to tell us an archetype? It's a being as you
Hmm.
come up from the floor that can change its face. And
Yeah.
these images seem to. I kept looking at them and thought, it's like they're trying to tell us it's an archetype, an archetype, an archetype. But there is no one face. There are many faces, but the body stays. But there are many faces of this. And I
Hmm.
kept looking and looking until it got into all of, oh yeah, demons with wings and horns and stuff. But it was pretty much that. And I thought, I'm wondering if they're trying to tell us something because they didn't have the wording for it. They didn't have the understanding for it like we did probably now. But they're trying to explain to us that it's got many faces, the phenomena. And hasn't it
Oh
just?
yeah.
Because now we currently know in current times, oh, you're talking about archetypes. You're talking about the mass changing, you know?
Hmm.
And that's what seems to be represented in a single drawing, which we refer to as chimera. And they're everywhere, not just in drawings, but carvings all over the world in temples, churches, caves. They've gone to great length to carve these chimeras, these strange beasts, which have different faces. They're changing. It's
Hmm.
as if the face, and sometimes you've got four faces on one body, and you're thinking,
I've
oh
seen that
right, so
one.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh right, okay, so you can choose what you want to be. I'm thinking they're trying to tell us visually, in their way of
Hmm.
best understanding what the phenomena represents, and that's what I saw
It's
when I looked at them.
yeah, it's form versus function, and I hate to beat that dead horse because I've said it many times here as of late, but that's really what we're dealing with is
Yeah,
that many of the forms it takes, it doesn't add up to the functions they're performing. And so do we go with the form? And that's why it's sometimes frustrating when people like just Nathaniel, just name it as demonic. Just say it's demonic, and that's all we need to hear. And that's not true. That's like saying it's just a vehicle, but don't look under the hood,
yeah, yeah,
right? And so we're looking at again is, and you and me and Barry, all of us have kind of employed that terminology. Well, it's a mask. Yeah, that's just the form. But what we're looking at now and realizing is that the form is moderating our perception of it. It's moderating our behavior with it. And yet there's a function present that's not adding up to the form.
yeah,
If it is dear Aunt Edna, why does she have a completely different belief system than she did in life? Because that's function versus form, right? If it is an extraterrestrial, why is it leaving Theban iconography on the bodies of experiencers? I'll tell you
exactly.
why, because that's just the form. It's the function that underlines everything. And that's really where I think the research needs to be
Mm,
is again, I don't really care what you tell me you are. There's a deeper way, a more proficient way to test them.
yeah.
And so, well, just give me the form. Just tell me what the form is. No, no, no. It's a hybrid. That's form. Underneath it, there's function.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly seems to be, when it comes to archetypes, there are stereotypical ones, you know, you've got groups of different ones. I mean, you could always argue the point now is that where's all the Space Brothers gone? I mean, what did they leave us? Did they abandon Earth, you know, and disappear? Well, you know, what happened to all the Space Brothers when they descended in something that looks like not only a flying disc, but something a bit similar to a 1940s submarine with portholes and rivets and things, you know, and you think, bloody hell, that looks so heavy. That's, you know, you'd probably never get off the ground. You know, it's like thick tank metal. You know what I mean? And these little portholes on the windows and stuff. And you think to yourself, it doesn't look like it could get down the road, let alone get across space. You know, but,
Their budget's low now. Right,
exactly.
Steve?
Yeah.
Where'd all the money
You
go?
know,
Yeah.
so there's like these stereotypical ones, but then you've got these ones where, I mean, if you say, well, all right, there's six, seven, eight stereotypical ones. What about all the other thousands? You know, and there
Mhm.
are. thousands, you know. I mean, and there were really good cases where police officers and military personnel have been witnessed the phenomena, and even sort of general public in open places where things have come down and stuff. And you think, what is it? It looks like a robot out of a 1950s film, or it's a little man with a glowing red eyes and a silver helmet on. You know, and you know, I mean, I've got cases in the UK from the 1970s where an object came down in a school field, and it's very interesting because the children were seeing this and they panicked. And
Mhm.
this man comes out of this object and he looks like he's taking soil samples and bits of plants and things. And apparently he's completely oblivious at the time of the children all watching him. And eventually he sort of realizes, I've been spotted. And he's
Mhm.
got long hair, long brown hair, not blonde hair, brown hair, with a bit of a goatee beard. He's dressed in a silver suit, a reflective silver suit with silver boots on.
Mhm.
He looked like he'd come straight out of a 70s rock band, you know? And
Hey, Steve.
yeah, you're like, yeah, exactly. You know, like sweet or
Uh,
something like that. And you,
yeah. Hey,
yeah,
dude.
exactly. And he just like panics and rushes off to this object, and the object takes off silently and it's gone. But the witnesses that were
Mhm.
involved, the evidence on the ground and everything suggests, yeah, they were telling the truth. And it's just crazy. I looked into this case because it's not far from me, and I'm just thinking, what the hell? You've got these ones
Mhm.
which are just so absurd. It's like the follower just goes, oh, to it. I'm just going to give you anything. You know, I'm not going to go to stereotypicals. I'm just going to throw anything at you because I don't care. And I'm going to do this. It's going to really mess your mind up. You know,
Mhm.
because you've got every feasible size, you know, every feasible creature. You know, there was an interesting case, and I think it was from the UK. There was 6 or 7 drivers going down a busy road. There's a tall figure at the side of the road. It's clearly not human. It's about 7 foot tall. It's wearing a one-piece grey suit. It's got pink eyes, and it's stopping people saying, "I'm from Garner's Varn." I said, "What the friggin' hell's Garner's Varn? Sounds like some Dutch village." You know, and I think to
Yeah.
myself, it doesn't make sense. There's some old woman that claims that she provided at Christmas time, strangely enough, she saw this object come down and small beings came out which had little wings and they
Mhm.
wanted to eat mince pies. She gave them mince pies at Christmas time. It's like that guy got the wheat cake. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's just what? So it's just absolutely absurd. So yes, those are plentiful, but then you've got the ones that they tend to stick to the same. Oh yeah, let's stick to them. But then not all the time because where's all the Space Brothers gone? They've kind of disappeared. But it is interesting when you look through the history, visual history, because it's
Mhm.
these old paintings. You know, the Annunciation of Christ, and you can see Christ and he's being crucified in the sky. There's strange craft or these strange things in the sky. You know, these paintings and tapestries with hat shaped UFOs in the skies. You know, and you're
Mhm.
thinking to yourself, what are they trying to tell us? And I love the one where, what is it now? I can't remember which one it is now, but I think it's Mary, and she's sort of doing this portrait sitting in the background. There's a hill. You can see
Mhm.
clearly there's a dog and a farmer of some sort. There's a shining object, looks like a craft, and he's even gone
Mhm.
to the point where he's putting light around the craft on the painting to sort of say,
Interesting.
yeah, this is a craft. It's emitting light. And he's not only got the farmer or whatever, the shepherd or whatever, going like this, looking up at it. He's even painted the dog with its mouth agape, barking at it. You know, it's like, look at me. What is going on?
Mhm.
And when you look back into the 13, 14, 1500s and you think, whoa, what's going on? So there's a connection between religion and these things. So they were putting them into tapestries and paintings, but not just in the UK.
Absolutely.
There were incidents in overseas, in other countries, in France, in Turkey, in Australia, and other places, and they did the same thing. So it's been on the map for a long time. People initially thought if they've seen a UFO or if they've seen something
Mhm.
strange, it's got to be religious. So therefore, let's put it in there. You know, it's connected. It's
Yeah.
all one thing. But are they wrong? Because even now we're going back to questioning that and saying, "Oh, do you know what? Are they wrong, or is it all
Yeah.
interconnected somehow?" You know, they might be right. They might be telling
Yeah.
us, trying to tell us things. Maybe.
What a great case study, and there's going to be more that you and I have talked about in, behind closed doors that we'll be bringing out. One of which rather I just got a hold of yesterday or the day before that will really show people what we're talking about when, what do you look like, Indrid? Well, it depends on who's looking. And once we bring that out, it's going to start to answer questions, but it's going to kind of lump all the phenomenon again in the same source.
Yes. Okay, buddy.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon, brother. Have a
Talk
good day.
soon, pal. Ta-da, mate.